time for the peace movement to come together and regain our strength and put some effective pressure on our government. We are at a time when we have one of the worst financial crises our country has ever been through, when more than ever people are questioning the cost of this war, the war in Afghanistan, whether or not the troops are really going to come home from Iraq and what we're going to leave behind there, the continued money that is going to Israel, and saying that we need this money here at home. Whether we're talking about the jobs needed in upstate New York, the destruction of cities like Detroit, or in Washington, D.C., where I'm living now, where young people, when they graduate college, can't find a job. We are here to connect the issues and say that funding this war is unpatriotic. And those Congress people who continue to give money for bombing people overseas, making us less safe at home, are actually going against the national interests of our country. So we're very excited to be here. We're excited that we can be strategizing about how to be more effective, about how to make the connections we need to make with other social justice groups around the country. And we are determined that we will leave here with more effective strategies for ending these wars and rebuilding America.
1/4 of Afghanistan's children won't live beyond the age of 5. The average life expectancy is 44 years old. Now, it costs $1 million to keep one United States soldier in Afghanistan for 1 year. And so we're faced with the terrible scandal of the manner in which the United States is willing to spend $1 million to keep one soldier in Afghanistan for 1 year. And then with that, all of the tremendous expenditure of lives and goods in order to maintain the soldiers there. I think about the 7,000 Afghan men, some of them in their late teens, who every single day put their life on the line to go in convoys to bring the goods needed to keep the United States soldiers fed, to keep them maintained. Well, then we learned that the United States, in order to protect these convoys, is actually paying security forces who are paying Taliban groups not to shoot at the United States convoys. So if we subject what's going on in Afghanistan and the spillover through the drone warfare into Pakistan to rationality, if Americans were more aware, if they were appraised of what kinds of developments have happened in the long warfare in Afghanistan that's been going on and on and on, then I think that American hearts are too tender to ignore the suffering caused by this war.
Physicians for a National Health Program is a national organization that educates and advocates for a single-payer program, a health program that's completely universal and provides comprehensive care to every person in this country. And the reason we do that is because we're already spending more than every other country does per person on health care each year. We're already spending enough to provide quality health care to every person in this country. We have the resources to have one of the top health systems, but we don't have the political will. And that was exposed so clearly in this last reform process when we saw that it was the corporations who were influencing the process, the corporations who are profiting off of the status quo and don't want to see that changed. So we're making deals with our legislators before the process even started, so that at a time in our country when we have so many who are suffering and dying, and we needed to have an open and honest debate about what was best for our people, instead, we saw a very tightly scripted process that was designed towards an end that had been predetermined. So if there was any question about what controls our political process in this country, it was revealed once again, as it has been over and over through the peace movement, through the financial situation, that it's the corporations who are in power. And so we have a common struggle, all of our movements for peace. Whether it's Halliburton or WellPoint, these are corporations that are profiting off of the suffering and dying of our people, and that needs to end. And so we look forward to working with those of you in the peace movement and with all of the various movements for housing, for education, for the economy. We need to come together and shift the power back into the hands of the people so that it can serve the interests of us. And I just wanted to comment that We learn in the practice of nonviolence that if you witness an injustice and you do nothing about it, then that in itself is a violent act. And so it's imperative that we not be silent in the face of what is happening in this country and around the world, and that we do stand up and act and unite in our struggles, and we look forward to being with you in that.
Back before the 2008 election, the question was Obama or McCain. And Barack Obama said that he would just maintain troops in Iraq in order to defend the embassy and to defeat al-Qaeda. Well, who is al-Qaeda? Anyone who attacks forces that are illegally occupying Iraq, which means we will be there forever because Iraqis have the right to legitimately resist an illegal occupation. McCain, on the other hand, said we could be there 100 years. So before the election, I said, you know, at least McCain gave us a timetable. The difference between the last administration and the current administration is that Barack Obama is working with a bigger Pentagon budget. The policies are the same. And we have, many of us who are here this weekend have continued to work and will continue to work for justice. As much as people in this country are suffering with foreclosures, job loss, those soldiers coming home with post-traumatic stress disorder and other injuries, the devastation of entire countries is unbelievably an unmitigated humanitarian catastrophe. And for those individuals who are living there now, my family is in Iraq, where it is over 50 degrees centigrade. This is over 120 degrees Fahrenheit. And they do not have the electricity to run an air conditioner, let alone a ceiling fan. We can relate with the heat wave that we've had on the East Coast today. But this is the daily struggle just for survival in these countries. They are not wars. They are illegal occupations of choice. And we will continue to work until justice is served, soldiers come home, and we make up for what's been done in our name.
I was a member of Bravo Company 216, the ground troops in the WikiLeaks collateral murder video. That wasn't a scene that was played out only that day. That is a scene that's played out almost daily in Iraq. The death and destruction of the people in Iraq on a daily basis has got to end. I've watched too many children die, too many innocent women walking down the street being shot, too many innocent men just coming home from work being killed by American troops for doing nothing more than trying to provide for their families. As a soldier in Iraq, I was no longer able to justify myself being there by what I was seeing in Iraq. I went to Iraq thinking I was fighting for freedom and democracy, and when I got there, I realized there is no freedom and democracy to be given to Iraq as long as we're there. We need to be removed from Iraq immediately. We need to withdraw the troops to where the troops can come home and be with their families as well, and allow the Iraqis to provide for their families. That's pretty much my message out there. Let's bring the troops home today. Thank you.